Welcome everyone. My name's Greg Basford. I'm the eLearning Project Officer here at CEO Leichhardt. As I said, if you were joining us a few minutes ago, we have got a cast of thousands. I think we've had about 80 registrations for this session, so there's obviously a lot of interest in this particular CloudShare Support Session. This is the first of three we'll be doing this term. And with me, we have Matt Wells, who's our CloudShare Support Officer for Term 4. Matt, many of you already know as the e-learning coordinator over at All Saints Catholic Boys College in Liverpool. And Matt's been doing a fabulous job for us here in the office, following in the footsteps of illustrious previous CloudShare Support Officers such as Alma Laroe and Jason Ranieri. Who else have we got? Belinda Martins, Phil. And Phil Hogg and Michelle Walters, Michelle Nusky, etc., and Joanne Colligan, of course. So in a moment, I'm going to hand over to Matt, who's going to run the session for us today. I guess one of the things that we like to make sure about is that, as we've just been doing, that if you're not saying anything, or just to cut down on the noise, that you have got your microphones muted. For those of you on the Hangout, if there's some issue or you want to ask a question, please use the chat window on the right. And for those of you in the VC, if you've got a question, we're more than happy to hear your questions. We'll be stopping throughout the presentation to take your questions. But if you need to ask a question, just simply unmute your microphone and go ahead and ask it. So I think if there's nothing else that we need to say, we might get started and start to talk about Teacher Dashboard. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so welcome everybody. The purpose of today really is to provide some information about this everyone's talking about, and that we're certainly pushing here at the office. So hopefully everyone can see the presentation window. So we're looking here at Teacher Dashboard, and I guess the real issue is, the problem with using Google Drive in our schools, as many of you would know at this point in time, that if you use for any length of time, and particularly where you're sharing with kids, we end up with a drive that looks like this: folders and folders and files everywhere, and which of the kids' work, and trying to find where the work is from the students. And look, don't get me wrong, Google Drive is fantastic. The search options are great to be able to find work, but it's a bit of a clumsy interface for working in the classroom. So this is where Teacher Dashboard comes into its own. So I'm just going to play a little video here, which is from Hapara, which is about
Teacher Dashboard by Hapara structures Google Apps to look like your classroom. We integrate your school's class and enrollment data to organize Google Apps. We know which students are in which classes, so we can make sure each educator has access to the right stuff. The real magic is in the teacher interface. Does this look familiar? Instead of seeing this, with Teacher Dashboard, teachers get a simplified bird's-eye view of all recent student activity in Google Apps. Just mouse over to see each student's current work in an instant, real time. Quickly see posts from Blogger, and get a snapshot view of all comments. See all activity in Picasa. Examine student portfolios with a view into their sites. Teachers see just what they want to see without unnecessary navigation. Our product is built exclusively on teacher and school feedback. For example, we built Smart Copy Wizard to allow teachers to share a document with their class in just a few clicks. Teachers can even manage student passwords themselves. So, how does Teacher Dashboard work for students? Students do their work in Google Apps as usual. We just simplify things a little. We create a folder for each of their classes. Students just drop their work into the right folders to share it. Done.
Okay, so that's what Teacher Dashboard is all about, and you've at least got the audio, which is fine. So what is Teacher Dashboard? Well, the first thing is that when you come into Teacher Dashboard, you get a screen like this, which is your list of classes. Now, these lists of classes, your school will have a teacher dashboard manager that would have set up a whole lot of data about the students in the school and the teachers and which class they have. And so this is what you see on your screen. Okay. Now, there is a button there that says Switch to Subject Teacher View. So when we click on that, that takes us into the dashboard and we see all the classes across the top that that teacher would have. So I'm actually going to try and switch here. It's really not going the way that we thought it would. But anyway, let's see here. I'm going to switch views. And hopefully you will get to see what I'm seeing here. Yep, that's fine. All right, so this is the teacher dashboard screen. If I go to switch to subject teacher view, when I come in here, and we're actually on a live, now you'll notice across the top, these are all my classes. And I've set myself up there as having a number of different classes. Some of them are at All Saints Boys Liverpool. There's one there from Holsworthy, one from Como. So if I now go to an individual class, this is what I would see. So first of all, I'll start with the primary school. So with this primary school, this is Katie Donovan's class from St Christopher's at Holsworthy. So what I'm seeing here is all the students in her class in the bottom area of the screen. And across the middle area here are the subject folders that she has set up for her class. Now each teacher gets to decide what folders they want for their class. In primary schools, often they break them up by KLA. Some schools have used topics, some have used terms, but I've got to say that the one that I've seen working best is where these subject folders are set up for primary school. If we go back and look at a secondary class, it's going to look very much the same, but the key difference will be I'm not going to have all those folders. And so here, once again, we see the students listed, but there's only the one folder for their subject. So in high schools, the teacher sees their class. That class would generally have one folder. Now the students can go and create folders inside those folders if they want. Okay, I'm just going to kick out of there for a minute.
Matt, we just had, just while you, before you go off with the rest of the demo, I just had a question there on the Google Hangout about how do you actually get Teacher Dashboard? Like how do you obtain it? Is it an app? Is it something you download? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Well, Teacher Dashboard, if you want it at your school, it's a matter of applying here. There's a website, Teacher Dashboard website, which we'll publicise at the end.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of signing up for your school there to become part of Teacher Dashboard. It really is a great tool for all the classes. So the main Teacher Dashboard screen, what can I see here? Well, the first thing I'm just going to highlight here are these tabs across the top of the screen. So these tabs are Dashboard, which I'm going to focus on now. Then we'll go to Gmail, Sharing, Remote Control, and Class Info. And I'm going to go through each one of those and have a look at what they do. So let's just focus on the main dashboard. This is the first screen you see, and what's on the screen here at the moment is my IST class. So what can I do here? Well, this one screen allows us to do all of the following. So students on that screen using a variety of methods. We can see what's inside the student folder. So someone got a question there or? No? Okay. We can see what's inside the student folder. We can view up to 25 files within that student folder. We can see the last time they've edited. We can filter the files that are there. We can open files. There's a whole lot of things that we can do. And that's right now, we're going to go once again live and actually have a look at these. So I'm just making that, well, that's probably a bit too large. We'll go with that size there. I think is that okay on your screens? Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. Okay, so with the students, in terms of sorting them, each one of these is their own little tab. So if you saw there, I moved Mina, and I want to grab Yash and drag him over to this side of the screen. I can rearrange them simply by dragging and dropping their tabs into an order that I like. Maybe it reflects a seating plan or another way that you would like to organise your class. I have other choices when I organise the class. I can come over here to the A to Z and I can simply sort them by first name. So there we've got the class sorted by first name. I can also sort by last name, and I can also sort by groups. So what is a group? Well, if you have a look here, you can see some students have little red dots and yellow dots and green dots and dark green dots. So if I come over here to Jared and I click there, I can join him into one of 9 groups, and I'll put him in the pink group. So when I sort by groups, he will be in that particular group. So we can order those groups any way that we want.
And Matt, do the groups mean, like, what do those colours mean?
Right, the colours mean whatever you want it to mean. So for example, I'm going to go out to Katie's class. The common questions is, I put all my time into organising one folder. I'm not going to mess around too much with Katie's class, but let's say I want Alex here to be over there and Emma to be up at the top. One of the nice things that I can do is when I go to the homework folder, you'll notice that Alex and Emma are back where they originally were. Well, rather than having to resort that folder, I can simply go to there and say, listen, sort this folder the same as the admin group. And so these will be sorted based on that same folder. There's Alex and Emma there. Now, in terms of the groups, these colours can represent whatever you like. So if I come on to Alexander, let's go to her English folder. And so I might have the class divided up based on literacy. And so I have my own colour code that says yellow as my star student. So I give Alana a yellow and Bianca a yellow here, and Alexandra I'm worried about, so I'll give her a red. I can use that to mean whatever I want within literacy. When I go to mathematics, you'll notice there's no group marker there. And so now I might say, well, you know, Alex is a star student in mathematics. So as I move between the folders, I can have a different colour code or a different group. Once again, it might represent groups within the class. It's totally up to you what they represent. But within each folder, those colours are assigned to that one folder. So I might just pause there. If anyone's got any questions through the VC, first of all, if you just turn your mic on and ask a question, or if I hear silence, we'll continue on.
Matt, actually, we did have one question from Elizabeth, who's on the Google Hangout, and that is, how much does Teacher Dashboard cost?
Well, as far as cost goes, the good news is it's free for all the Sydney Diocese schools. So Catholic Education Office Sydney has got a licence that covers every Catholic school, primary and secondary. So for schools, there is no cost to have this. So that's a real bonus. I like things that are free.
Could I just ask a question? The documents that you had in the folders, are they accessible by the students, or are they Google documents shared with you, or can you put confidential documents about that student in that folder as well?
Okay, so let's go and have a look back in there. I'll go back to my class and we'll have a look a little bit more at this screen. So the question is about these documents. Now, so in this window here, you would have noticed over on the right-hand side a little drop-down where I can look at 3 items, 5 items, 15 items or 25 items for each student. what I'm seeing in here are the documents the student has put into their IST folder. So as I was saying, these are documents that the student has put into, in this case, the IST folder, or if we go over to the primary school, into their specific subject folders. When Teacher Dashboard was set up, say for St. Christopher's, they asked for all of these folders to be created, and when this happens, the Teacher Dashboard sets up a whole lot of folders for the student. And so they don't have to go and create a folder for English and a folder for maths and a folder for HSIE. It's all created for them. And so all that Katie asks of her students is when they create a document for English, that they drop it over here in their English folder. And so that's what we're seeing here. And if I hover over any particular document, you'll see there that I'm getting a thumbnail of the document. And you'll also see that it's telling me information about who the author was. So this was created by the teacher, Katie Brennan. It was last updated by that particular student. This is a document that multiple students can access. It was last updated on the 21st of October, last viewed on the 29th of October. So we're getting a whole lot of information about that document. And so I can see that for any document here, if I point to it, I can see what's in there, and then we get the drop down that gives us some more information about that document. If I want to, I can actually go in to the student folder. Now you'll notice here, I can't go into this student's folder because I'm not a teacher. I'm not that teacher at St. Christopher's. All right, so that's why I can't actually go in and access that folder. But I will go back to my former students. I say former because they're surviving term 4 without me. Apparently they can do that. But if we have a look here at Shelvin's folder, so this now gives me access to his IST folder in his Google Drive. And I can view it as either the tile view or I can go to the list view here. So that's what he's put into that particular folder. Now something that might interest you, I have a very organised student here, Michael, and if I go and open up 25 items and we look at Michael's folder, did we do 25? Yep, here we go. It's just refreshing. So I'm coming down into Michael's folder, which is of course the last one. Isn't that always the way? If I have a look at Michael's folder, he's got a lot of files there, but when I actually go in to look in his folder, so for Michael, I get to see 4 folders because what he's done is gone and put those files inside folders. So even though he is very organised and puts things inside folders, on the Teacher Dashboard desktop, I just get to see all of the files that he's got stored away in that drive. Okay, so we have full access to those folders and files that are within that folder. Okay, let's flip back. So we've seen there this idea of sorting students, viewing the list of what's there in the student folder, 25 files. Also, if the students have blog posts, now unfortunately you are limited to using Blogger, but the good news about using Blogger is the fact that that's part of the Google suite, and their Google account creates that their Blogger account, and you can view their Blogger account directly in here. With Katie, what she has, if I go to posts, we can see here the student posts, and if this one here, if I point to it, I can see a preview of the posts, and the other thing that we can see are comments that have been made about posts as well. So we can see them in the same window as well. So we don't actually have to leave the dashboard to see all of this. Same with Picasa. If your students are using Picasa, whether you know it or not, they may be. This student here has gone off and created Picasa. We can see what's in their Picasa album. Also, another was when I'm in their folder, I can directly access the file. So if I click on this file here, I can go directly into their document, and so that if I was marking this document or I'm leaving comments or annotating the student work, I can do that. So I can access it directly from Teacher Dashboard. I don't have to go hunting through my drive or their drive. So is there any questions about this main screen? Yeah. So back to the tabs here, we have the Gmail tab. Now, I'm actually not going to click on this because I actually have, I get a bit concerned about looking at kids' Gmail because it's personal, in my opinion. So I've just put a visual up on the screen here. Now, why I get concerned about Gmail is that there may be a confidential conversation between a student and, say, a year coordinator or a counsellor, and I don't particularly want to see that. So within the Gmail, there are a couple of settings that can happen here. Generally what happens with primary schools, the settings are set so that teachers can see everything that goes through the student's account. It's a school decision, but generally this is what we find in the primary schools, that the classroom teacher sees all emails going through the account. In secondary schools, the setting is generally that teachers only see the conversations between them and their student. Now, the reason for this is that this is a tool to help educate kids about the use of email. And in primary, it's probably a different agenda to what's going on in secondary, and the content of email in secondary may well be a lot more confidential. As I said, if it's a conversation between a student and a year coordinator about a situation that's happening at home or at school, it's probably not for the general population to be reading that. So this is a decision that's made school-based. It's a principal decision. The teacher dashboard manager talks to the principal and works out what setting is going to work best. In some secondary schools, it is set up so that maybe the year coordinator, pastoral coordinator, can see all the emails in their year group. In some secondary schools, it's only the principal that can see all the emails that are there. But it is designed to help educate students about email. A quote that sticks with me is this idea: is email is for old people. I guess I'll have to learn to use it when I get a job. That's sort of where young people sit with email. This feature in Teacher Dashboard allows as a teacher to say you send an email out to your class about homework or an assignment. This enables you to go in and see whether or not a student has read the email, or at least opened the email. If it's been opened, you'll see it in normal text. If it hasn't been opened, you'll see it in bold text. So it helps you just to educate students about the importance, if it is important for you in your class, to read their email. There are two other tabs available. You can look at their sent items. Once again, what you see there depends on your school settings, and also trash, because it's amazing how often that important assignment email ended up in the trash, and I don't know how it got there, sir. But that's the Gmail tab. Before I move on, are there any questions about Gmail?
No, but we have a question from the Hangout. It's just back on. The question is around what students see. Like, do students see what teachers see in Teacher Dashboard? What do students actually see? How does this impact students?
Okay, for students, they're not going to see. They don't have to go to the Teacher Dashboard website. The Teacher Dashboard website is for teachers. For students, what they are going to see is a number of folders pop up in their Google Drive. But they just see these folders pop up. So they'll see an English, a maths, a science, whatever the subjects they sit for, they will see that pop up. They keep working with Google Apps the way they have been. The only thing is that you'll be saying to them, put your work in my folder. If they don't, well, that's where we're going to move to next, is what happens when they don't put things in the right folder.
Do the files change from year to year?
Say again?
Hi, it's Erin from JB.
Yep.
I just wanted to ask if the files change from year to year.
Okay, I will mention that now because we are coming close to the end of the year. What happens at the end of the year is a process is run through this office where everything is archived. Now what that means for the student is they will have a folder called 2013 created, and all their folders from this year are put in the 2013 folder. And then when their classes are set up for next year, they'll have their classes there. So they'll have access to their work from previous year, filed away nicely, which they can still access, and they'll have a new set of folders for their new school year. If we think about it, a student in kindergarten now in Teacher Dashboard, when they leave school in 12 years' time, will have a complete digital portfolio of everything that they've done if you're using Dashboard and Drive. Any other questions there? Nope. So the sharing tab. I'll just switch over to the live version of Teacher Dashboard, and I will just go back to my class.
Excuse me, Matt, it's Margaret.
Yes, Margaret.
When you were talking about the students archiving their work, that's good. Do the teachers, if theirs is archived, can they still access the students' work later, or do they lose it altogether?
So you're asking the student I teach this year?
Yep.
Can I see their work next year? That their work from this year next year?
No, unless you're allocated to a class that they are in next year.
So for things like, I think your question might be coming from compliance, Margaret?
Well, yes, it's about having samples of student work this time.
So the idea would be to grab those samples. As a teacher, you can take copies of those and place them in your own drive.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I'll come back to... All right, so back here now, I'm going into the sharing tab. And what we see here in a moment, across this screen there are a number of tabs. Now, the first one is called Unshared. Here you can see documents that the student has created that he has not shared, or she has not shared with you. So, really important for the primary schools, because that way you can say to the student, there's your English work, please drag that into your English folder, and teach them about file management. In the secondary school, it does mean that you are seeing work that may not be your class work. So say, for example, here I'm seeing Julian's PDA, or his PE assignment, I'm seeing his English assignment, I can see everything that's there. But it is particularly useful if I need to track down some work for the student. It may be the student is asking for help here. A feature that I didn't mention before, and I'll mention at this point, on the main dashboard and in this window there's a little envelope. If I click on that envelope, it's now kicking off Gmail and composing an email directly to that student. So I don't have to worry about what is the student email address, go and look up some list. It's all there for the teacher in Teacher Dashboard. So I can email the student directly by clicking on that envelope. The second tab along here is called Public. Now what Public does is it shows you any files that the student has shared outside the sid.catholic or the sidstu.catholic domains. So this particular student has shared this with a Gmail account. Now, it's probably his own personal Gmail account, or it might be a Gmail account of another student, but it's visible here. Anything that's shared outside, we will be able, you can check here and see, and it's a bit hard to see because of the way my screen is at the moment, but if it's been shared outside the student domain, you can see that there. So that student there, there's another one shared with Gmail. So that's what public means. External, this is where you can see where someone from outside the domain has shared with a student. So this particular drawing is owned by Julie Schaefer at gmail.com and was shared with this particular student. So these are just some graphics files that he was using for an assignment, and he's obviously got someone to do it and share those files with him through to his drive. So if they've had material shared with them from outside, you will see that there. The All Docs is exactly what it is. This allows you to see all the docs for the student. Remember though that you're only going to see up to 25 documents for the students. You can also look in their trash. Once again, it's amazing how often something just ends up in the trash and they didn't know where it is. They're looking for the assignment. You can help them there by looking in the trash. And once again, then simply click the button and say, hey Joseph, your work's in your trash, you better move it across to your appropriate folder. And also we can go to Picasa. So that's the third tab there called sharing. And once again, we'll just pause for a moment to see if there's any questions about what we've seen there.
Matt, I just sent you a screenshot of what the student view looks like. So it's in your, I don't know if you can get to it, it's just on a chat window for you on your Gmail.
So for whoever it was that was asking about what the student sees, Greg has got a screenshot here. So this is what the student sees in their folder, and it goes into their drive. This student had nothing else in their drive at that point in time, or they've filed it away. So they just see these little file icons, and we can see, zoom in there, the little folder icon with the person showing that it's a shared folder. Okay, so we can see there, art, English, general, the subject with the student name there. Any other questions before I move on? Oops. Oh, okay. Let's push on. Now, the remote control tab. This is an interesting one. Remote control enables you to work with the student in their Chrome browser. At the moment, we're still trying to iron out some glitches. We're not sure exactly where the bugs are in the network. But the important thing about remote control, this is not like Synchronize or any of those programs that allow you to spy on the student's computer. And in fact, if you try and do that, this will completely fail. This actually relies on the student installing an app on their Chrome browser, and so it relies on some trust. But the advantages are that you can do a number of things with remote control. So first of all, there's the need to install this remote control tab, which is found within the Chrome Web Store.
I might just point out there, Matt, what we're doing is we're actually working with ICT now to try and get this remote control Chrome extension automatically delivered to your student computers. So all they need to do is sign into CloudShare and they'll have the extension. In other words, it will be a complete hands-off process for you locally. You won't need to do anything, right? So we're working with ICT to make that happen now. For high schools, that happens now as soon as students sign into Chrome. So you should be encouraging your students to use Chrome and sign into Chrome on their own devices. For primary schools with shared computers, it's a little bit trickier, but we're working with ICT to make that happen. So you don't actually need to go ahead and install this extension. We'll do the back-end work to make that happen for you.
But I guess, having said that, if you want it now, this is where you get it.
That's right.
You can go and get it. But I want to highlight here some of the comments, and I'll just try and zoom here to get a little bit more. These are comments from people using it. The first one comes from a student, and they're up front. I'm a student. I feel that I'm being spied on by my teachers. I don't like this program. So that's the way that particular student was using it. A couple of teachers that I know very well, Fiona Grant and Dorothy Burt, talk about how it's valuable in terms of building relationship between you and your students, and how it makes it easy for you to push URLs and documents out to the students. But once again, this one, an interesting name for a teacher here. All right, it's Deaf Master. They didn't sign in with their real name. But they've made the comment here, I do not like this. It is very lag-like. A teacher requirement is to trust your students. Horror, horror. Then the students will trust you. I hate this. So I find that an interesting comment. That's what will happen. If you're trying to spy on your students this way, it will cause some problems. But used in a positive way, I think you'll see the benefits. So if I push on here...
Just another question there, Tab. Matt. So the question was from Maria on the Hangout. In primary, you're working across a stage, so you might be working with multiple classes. So the question was, can more than one teacher have access to a class for collaborative projects? And of course the answer is yes. You can have as many teachers as you like accessing any class.
Yeah. So multiple teachers can be part of a class if you're doing, as you said, a collaborative project. If you've got special needs teachers or learning support teachers coming in, librarians, whoever you need access that class, they can be part of the class.
And it can be done, for one day, for a whole year, whatever you like. It can chop and change. It's no problem at all.
Works also really well if you're team teaching or if you're doing job share. Both teachers have access to that class. So this remote control tab, when it's operating, you get 4 options here. So the first one is you can send the student a message, and it may well be something along the lines to keep them on task or giving them some direction of where to go looking for work. You also have the option of opening a tab for a student. What this means is that you are pushing a URL to the student. So you've got something on your computer that you would like to share with that student. You simply push that to them. A tab opens on Chrome. They have access to that site. The third option is where you can view the screen of a student. Yes. So you can get a screenshot of a student's screen if you need to, and you can also email a student directly from there. You also have a tab which interacts with the whole class. So for the whole class, you can send a message to the whole class. So you might send a message out saying, look, we've got 10 minutes left on today's task. But you can also open a tab for the whole class. So this is particularly useful. I know in my classes we'll be working away. Someone will find an interesting site. I'd like the whole class to look at it. You write it up on the board. Someone gets the spelling wrong. It can be a nightmare. This way, you just type it into a tab, press send. Every student in your class gets that tab open with that URL. So it's a very, very powerful feature for collaborative work with your students. So once again, I'll just pause if there are any questions about remote control as this plane goes over.
Actually, Matt, Alma Leroux, who I think is... Alma, are you on the VC there? I don't know if she can give us a wave, if she's still there. Can't quite see. Is she there? Yes, there she is. Is that Alma? No. No, okay. So Alma makes the point that with using remote control, it's great for group work. I don't know if she wants to unmute her microphone if she's there.
No, I'm here.
Talk, Alma.
I was just saying, with there's a bit of echo. With remote control, the way I see it working in a positive way is if students are doing some group work and you want to showcase the work of, or even the work of students' individual tabs that are open on their Chrome, if they're working on different sites, projected on a projector for the whole class to see.
Yeah, so it's a very, very useful function. Yeah, especially for group work or whole class or just working with that individual student of sending out that URL. The final tab is this class info tab, and this is a great tab. What it contains in here is information about your class on the left here, and I've just got student names blurred out for the presentation part, but you've got the list of student names and what's called the student ID, but this student ID are active links to their email address. So it gives them, once again, another option. If I wanted to email a student, I could just click straight out of the student ID. It enables you as a teacher to double check through a list which students are enrolled in your class. We also have a list of which teachers are part of that class. Then the class resources, you get a class email address. You don't have to go and create your class email addresses. You get one created for you so that with one address you can email your whole class, and also the class folder. So let's go live and have a look at what this means. So we'll go back here, and if I go to my class info, okay, so I can see there the list of my students. If I click on one, as I said, it will go into Gmail. I'm emailing that particular student. So that's particularly useful. If I come down here, I can see currently with this class, there are 3 teachers assigned to that class. Those 3 teachers happen to be the person who's acting in my role at All Saints Boys, the person who's teaching my class at All Saints Boys, and our principal. But we can see who's actually part of that class. The class email, once again, this great big long email address, but if I simply click on that, once again in Gmail, I'm able to compose an email that will go out to the whole class. So no more having to worry about compiling that list yourself. And also this class folder. What this does is it takes you to a folder that is in your Google Drive. And if I go in here, in the secondary situation it's a little more confusing, but when I come in here, I will have a list of all my students. I can see over here who the students are. It's a bit hard to see, I'll just zoom in there.
When you do that, Matt, it doesn't zoom in on the Hangout. So
doesn't?
No,
well, Hangout people will, yeah.
You can just Command plus.
Yeah. So I'll just come back out there and we'll Command plus.
That's it.
Okay, so I can see there the folder. So if I go to Sonny's folder, I can actually go into his folder and access his IST folder directly there. So it's a very powerful tool that we have here. Also, for those people that need student email addresses, we can export them straight out of here. You can just copy them, paste, or take them out as comma separated or tab delimited, depending on how you want your data. And there's a couple more features there that we're not going to touch on today. They're more diagnostic. But like any good set of steak knives, there's always more. This little gem is hidden away. We skipped over it. No questions came about it when we were doing the dashboard. So this is back on the main dashboard screen. And I'll just flick back there so you can see it actually live on the dashboard screen. But it's this tiny little button. There it is there. Not sure if you can see it. If I point to it, it says Smart Copy. So just to make it bigger, I've got it over here. For those of us that have worked with a product called Octopus, this is Octopus without the geek, I think is the way to put it. So if I click on that, here's what happens. I get a series of screens that come up, hopefully. Okay, so the first thing that comes up, and it says, what do I want to do? I have the choice of using an existing document or create a new document. So I can share a blank document with students or an existing document. So say I've got a worksheet that I'd like to share with them. I select that. I get a list of documents. I can always search these documents, but here I'm going to share the Puppet Show script with this group. So I can see here, Puppet Show script is about to be shared. I click on the next button. I have 4 options. I can make a copy of that document. I can share it read-only, share read comment, or share read write. You can explore those in a little more detail later on. I give this a heading. So this is called Puppet Show script, but if I add in %F and %L, it will personalise this. You can see down in here in red, this becomes Smith Mary Puppet Show script. It'll put the student name in front of the file as well. The next step is I choose who I'm going to share this with. So I could select all students. I could select just to give it to a couple of students. This might be my extension students that I wish to share some work with. It might be a particular group, or it might be the special need. Doesn't matter. I can share with a group of students or just individually select. Or based on our groups that we created earlier, I could share, here I'm going to share it with my green and yellow students. And here I have the option whether or not I leave, if it finds a document with that name, or I'm just going to say no, just copy it. So here I can see the final summary, where it's going to share with the green and yellow students their names, what it's going to be called, and when I say start copy, each of those students receives into their folder that document. So I'm able to send out a worksheet or whatever else I would like to share with them. The final thing before we take any questions is there is a Hapara app that you can add to Chrome. This is different to the remote app. This is Hapara Teacher Dashboard. It looks like this, that you can then place onto your Google Chrome screen so you can get quick access to it. So at this point, those with questions, any questions?
If you send an email to the class,
yes,
do the teachers that are also members of that class get it as well, or do you send a separate email to those?
No, only the students. So you would just CC the teachers.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
How long does it take for schools to be on the list to get Teacher Dashboard? Because I was looking on your website, Teacher Dashboard, and it says that you have to register the school, and then there's a list of schools who are already using it. Is there like an amount that you have per term of schools that are using it? Is it just you sign up?
Yeah, just go ahead and sign up. We're pretty much full for this term. We've got, if you click that schedule button, in fact, Matt, you might want to bring up the Teacher Dashboard website, actually. So just while Matt's getting the Teacher Dashboard website, by the way, the link to the Teacher Dashboard website, we might show everyone actually via the new apps, Google Apps menu system. So actually, just go back and so just show everyone the quick way to get it. If you just go to even the
Let's go to Mark.
Yeah. So just watch what Matt does here. You would have noticed in Google Apps, everyone, that the black menu bar is gone now and it's been replaced by this new sort of grid in the top right-hand corner of the browser, which is your Google Apps menu. So Matt's going to click on that. And it brings up the common apps that you would have seen in the black menu bar. If you click more and scroll down a little bit, you'll see some links to things like our CloudShare site, the intranet, the CO Sydney website, and one of them there is the Teacher Dashboard project site. So you can get to it straight away, and Matt's just doing that there. So there's the Teacher Dashboard project site. If you click on where it says click on where it says register your school, you'll see you simply need to sign up. Once you've signed up, you'll receive an email from us indicating when you'll be slotted into, at this stage it'll be 2014. So we're accepting nominations now for 2014 to get your school set up. If you have a look at the rollout schedule, if Matt looks at the rollout schedule now, you'll see that we're busy doing around about 4 or 5 schools a week. at the moment. So we managed to get on about 4 or 5 schools every week, and that schedule's shown there. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And just a final plug, where the next session is in 2 weeks' time. It's this Thursday week, so same bat time, same bat channel in terms of when it will be during the week. So that's Thursday week, and we'll be doing a session on using Google Slides in the classroom. So if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs of using the Google's presentation tool, which is the tool that Matt's used today to do the presentation, and some of the fancy footwork that you can use in the classroom with that, please tune in Thursday week. So, folks, asking the Google Hangout folks, is there anyone who has a question there? You can ask it by unmuting your microphone if you like.
No questions, anybody? Awesome, that's pretty good then. Presentation that I used, it's all up there, it's
shared.
We've
got people waving. Yep. Okay, thanks.
That presentation's available for anyone that wants it. Contact me via email if you want it directly.
And we've recorded this session, so you'll see an email about a video of this session as well. Okay, we'll see you later, everyone. See you later on the Google Hangouts. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.